Respected Principal Ma'am, Vice Principal Ma'am, members of the faculty, and dear students. First time why I am here is, what happened is, we had a phone call to a toll-free number, 87126-71111. It was from one of the parents of one of the child. So what happened is, he had come to know that a student, he had bought maybe 5,000 or 1,500 worth of e-cigarette from a person in Old City. So he rang that number and we were able to catch this man who was selling these e-cigarettes to children. So there were 30 phone numbers on his phone and he was selling the e-cigarettes, and the flavors he was offering are mango ice, cranberry ice, and all sorts of weird names, finishing with ice. You know what ice in this drugs market, that colloquial words that they use in the market, stands for methamphetamine. It's something like cocaine. So there was something that this thing that he was selling could have sold e-cigarettes, maybe it's having tobacco and this flavor, but each flavor was ending with this word ice. So that really got me this thing, that maybe there is somebody or some people who are very irresponsible who would like to initiate children into drugs. There's no need for him to have mentioned the name ice. Then he is mentioning that there are double coil e-cigarettes are banned in India. It also contain tobacco and it is bad for the lung health of the children. Just as you graduate on to, suppose now somebody, he will not start drinking alcohol or he will not start doing drugs. You slowly graduate on to bigger things. You start with e-cigarettes. Then you start with a cigarette, then you go on to ganja. So this is how you keep on graduating. So I would request the children that they should stop. Now is that they are at a young age and they should not get initiated into this habit of intoxicating drinks. What happens in Indian law, there is section 77 of the Juvenile Justice Act. If I carry an intermediate quantity of, let's say, any drug, maybe cocaine or hash or meth or MDMA, I carry an intermediate quantity, you understand, the punishment is up to 10 years. And for selling a cigarette, e-cigarette or a cigarette or a beer or something like this to a student, the punishment is 7 years. The lawmakers of this country take this very seriously, that our children should be away from drugs. For you, some of you, it might appear that no, it is nothing, it's something very cool, something very nice, or maybe it is nothing, I can stop any time. But that is not what it happens is. I will just tell you, drugs means, suppose I have been a smoker, okay? So smoker means, I start when I was in college, I went to IIT Bombay. There maybe I was smoking 4 or 5 cigarettes in a day. As you progress, that it doesn't stop at 4 and 5. It goes up to 10 or 15. Like that, it keeps on increasing. This is the problem with the drugs. Okay? So आप ऐसे बोलेगा कि मैं छोड़ दूंगा, मैं नहीं इससे ज़्यादा पीऊंगा, I'll just try on this thing. But then you get hooked onto it. The worst part of drugs is that it increases your tolerance. Tolerance means I am taking 5 cigarettes, it becomes 6, it becomes 7, it becomes 10, and then maybe if my peer, my company is somebody who's taking marijuana, who's taking ganja, then maybe I shift on from smoking to ganja. So best thing is stop at the first step. Stop taking e-cigarettes, stop taking this thing, stop taking intoxicating drinks. This is my first request to all of you. Nowadays, children are very independent. Maybe that interactions with the parents and with the teachers is not to that extent what it used to be in our case. But then, you have to take care of your life. It's your life. We can only tell you, it's not a question of warning you, but we tell you that this is something wrong. This thing I've just told you is about tolerance. It happens. It is like this, that tolerance is, if you take drugs, it is going to increase. Then the second thing, bad thing about drugs is dependence. Now suppose I smoke and I have to come for this lecture, so I will smoke 2-3 cigarettes and come. Or if I have to do some work, there will be some dependence. So slowly you got getting dependent on the drug. Dependence means like a person walks on caliper, he starts walking on the caliper of the drugs. You become a slave. You are born free. Now he says, no, that song these two children sang, really very nicely they sang, where the head is held high, where the mind is without fear. So this is what that freedom is. I am free, I want to come here, I want to walk. Then why will I make my life miserable by saying that I have to depend on a particular drug or particular bad habit? For that momentary fun, for that 2 minutes kick, if I smoke means every some 3-4 hours I have to go somewhere and start smoking, because smoking in public places is not allowed. So I am becoming dependent on smoke. I am becoming tolerant to it. This should not happen. Okay, there is a scientific this thing also. Suppose this is datum. Some of you are science students, this is 0. Okay, this is, some datum is let's say 2. This datum is 2 means whenever I take e-cigarette, I take a smoke, from 2 I increase to 3. So like a sine curve, when I have taken, it remains at 3, again it falls down. So you are artificially telling your brain about this high. You are artificially telling your brain, you go up, take a drug, you go up and high. Whatever goes up comes down. So this is what is happening. And children, I will just like to tell you one thing, that 3 basic parts of the brain. One is basal ganglia. This is on the top part. Then you have amygdala behind the eye and prefrontal cortex. 3 parts of the brain. So prefrontal cortex is that plane which controls your impulses. Now suppose now my friends are there. Okay, we'll go for a drink. That's what they tell me. Prefrontal cortex of the brain will tell me how to control the impulse. By the age of 25, it develops fully. So now if you are a child, somebody says, okay, I am smoking. Okay, you just try. That prefrontal cortex in a child till he is 25 means till you complete your engineering and 1 or 2 hours, 2 years of job. Till that time prefrontal cortex is not developed. So this impulse will tell you, "Arey, kuch nahi hota. Have, take, try. Maybe after 1 or 2 days we will leave it." But then once you try, you cannot leave it. You get stuck onto it. The bad part about drugs, what I tell you is, for 5 years, I will be smoking a cigarette. I will be drinking beer or whiskey. I will be snorting drugs. But after 5 years, the drugs start smoking you. The drugs starts drinking you. You say that, okay, I have been doing it, but then it comes with a vengeance. What you were doing, it starts doing to you. You please be very, very careful. Please be very sure that today you are saying, I am smoking a cigarette. I am taking a drink. I am doing this. But then it will come back and stare you in the face and tell you, you were doing it. Now I do it with you. That is the time when you become a zombie. That is the time when you become a vegetable. It happens with cigarette, it happens with vapes, it happens with beer, it happens with hard drinks, it happens with drug. आप अभी कितना भी मजाक उड़ा लें, but then it will come to rule you. You know the agony of a fish who has been hooked. You throw a hook, no matter whosoever says that it is very cool. In America, marijuana is made legal, but this thing will come back to haunt you. Now, if you really ask me that what is the best liquid I have tasted, I'm 60 plus. The best thing that after a game of basketball, when you are really, really tired, you drink a glass of water. Nothing has ever tasted better than that. I'm telling you. If you remember, I would have gone to so many parties, had so many things to drink, but I don't remember that. Very profoundly I remember that doing that. It is your body telling that you have owned this drink. You can drink. You have really owned it. आपने पसीना बहाया बास्केटबॉल ग्राउंड में, फुटबॉल ग्राउंड में, क्रिकेट ग्राउंड में, आप अच्छा फाइट किए. आपको पानी बहुत अच्छा लगेगा. Then second thing is, if you ask me what is the best food that I have ever tasted, I'm not joking. I'm telling you the truth. You know what happened? Once I was the CP of Cyberabad, this place. Then what happened? And I was going home at around 6 p.m. My son was in the hospital and he was in a government hospital in Quarantine. There is a fever hospital where I think Ronald Ross for malaria, that he was able to find that medicine for malaria. So it's a small hospital with broken glass panes. My son was on his deathbed. He had to get through this night to be able to survive. So he had diphtheria, though we had taken the injections, but somehow that injection was, I don't know, it was lapsed or some problem was there. So he had diphtheria. So then there a phone call came that in Narsinghi a building had fallen down and some 8 people were buried inside that building. Immediately, so I just had a glimpse of my son and told him, oh, be brave, nothing will happen. Immediately I started from Narangramgoda. So around 8 people were buried inside, 1 woman and her child. Only that 1 woman and that child we could save. Remaining other people, they unfortunately died. We tried very hard. You believe me, from 6 till 4:30 the next day, almost for 24 hours, all the policemen, all the hospital staff, all the MCH workers, everybody was standing for around 24 hours. We didn't have anything to eat, we didn't have any chai, and by 4:30 we could take out all the debris and the dead bodies, and people were there from the mortuary who take the dead bodies. There was no food. So a small lady in a house, we requested her to cook rice for us and tomato curry. Only that tomato curry. I don't know, 300 people would have ate that day. It was hot, that rice and that tomato curry. Nothing has tasted better than that rice and tomato curry. Nothing has tasted better than that. So aap sabko bhi bolta hai, if I am telling you this after 60 years, then you should realize that this drugs and all, it is on you. The things that will give you. If I remember after some 13, 14 years that this food is the best I tasted, this must be something about it. It cannot be that I am feigning it, I am pretending that it was the best. It is the best. Sometimes what happens is, suppose I know that I went to Balbati FO school and then after that to DPS school, we had people smoking in bathrooms. We could see that cigarette pee ke aa raha hai, or matchboxes were there, these kind of things were there. But then we also never complained that, okay, this boy must be taking. But now I realize that you will say that, oh, you are a stool pigeon, you are carrying tales about your friends. But that is not this. You save a person. You save a person by telling the teacher that probably this man is not behaving properly, he is smoking. Other part is, suppose I smoke, where's the reason for me to make a second person take up to smoking? It should not happen. You know, our brain is like a snow-covered mountain. You understand this part? Brain is that grey matter and white matter is like a snow-capped peak. Nobody has stepped on that peak. It is pristine. It's pure. It's white. Accustomed to small pleasures. You eat a brownie. You have a fun with your friends. You play a good game. You eat chai samosa in canteen. Or you have fun and frolic with your classmates. That are the small pleasures that the brain looks for. It is accustomed to, the brain is, please see. This light talk the brain likes. If you smoke a cigarette, or you do drugs, or you drink beer, or you take a drink, it is like chudandi. It is somebody shouting inside the brain. And the brain feels very uncomfortable. If somebody shouts, then what brain does is, it stops, it starts killing the receptors in the brain. Like you are saying somebody shouting on the mic, you decrease the volume. Same way brain starts decreasing the volume. It doesn't like this loud noise. That loud noise is produced by the drugs or maybe cigarette or smoking. All these things the brain dislikes and it starts shutting down. Means it starts killing the receptors which are habit forming, which take care of the reward mechanism. Then you will never have fun of eating a samosa, of having played a good game of basketball. आपको कभी खुशी नहीं मिलेगा. So that is when you become a zombie, you become an addict, you are hooked onto the drug. That is when you don't smoke the drug. The drug starts smoking you. That is the most unfortunate thing that can happen to a student in a school, to a student in a college, to an IT industry guy. That is the worst part that can happen. So as children, as teachers, it is your responsibility that you be strict when it is required for you to be strict. But you should know what the child is doing. You should know what is happening to the child. He used to be a topper, his grades are falling. He used to be very friendly with people. Now he's becoming a recluse. He's not talking to people. He wants to be alone. So these are some of the signs that the teacher should see and really talk to that child and see what the problem is. So I request all the children to please stay away from drugs. They're not good. And one thing I will tell you, we have a database of some 900 crore and this number is there. So I request each one of the student and each one of the teacher, and suppose some parent is also available here. If you come across somebody who is taking cigarettes or drugs, then he should not. At least we will not penalize the student. What happened is, in this school, a boy was caught smoking e-cigarette, or there was e-cigarette found in his bag. And this man was rusticated, this boy was rusticated for 6 months, suspended from school. Okay, that's fine. That is your disciplinary action, what you want to take. But they should have rang up the local police station that this boy has got e-cigarette with him, so that the police could have found out who sold the e-cigarette to that boy. The lawmakers of this country have taken this selling of e-cigarettes to children or cigarettes to children as an offense which carries a punishment of 7 years. So that is when I discharge my responsibility. My responsibility is, suppose I am the principal, how dare anybody can supply a cigarette to a child who is studying in my school? You should have that authority and say, कैसे भैया आप हमारे स्कूल के बच्चे को सिगरेट दिया आपने? ऐसा रहना दम. People like this who question illegality, who question a wrong, only they make this world. And let me tell you one thing, that there is a poem by poetess Carle. In 1845 she wrote, little drops of water, little grains of sand, make the mighty ocean and the pleasant land. Little deeds of kindness, little words of love, make this earth an Eden and the heavens above. You always think that I want to have big pleasure by taking drugs or by doing this, by doing that, big. But this world, nature is such that whatever pleasure or whatever the good things that you have to get in life are small things. If the ocean and the beaches are made of grains of sand, our life is made of small happiness. Small patting on the back, the parent, the teacher, everybody. Small get-togethers. Small sitting in the groups and having a laugh. It's not something big. हम बहुत बड़ा मजा करेंगे, बहुत ये नहीं. It's only the small thing. Small 60 years of having nice small breakfast with a butter toast and a cup of tea. Like that. 60 years means 60 into 365. Days of lunch, days of playing. And if you say that you smoke a cigarette, that amount of dopamine that is produced in your brain is the same if you do a run of 3 kilometers or 1.5 miles. And what happens is, mile is, you say, okay, in 7 days, I'll run for 5 days, 4 days. You have that same dopamine in the brain. But what happens is, if you are smoking a cigarette, it will not allow you that I will only smoke for 3 days. I will only smoke for 5 days in 7 days. You will smoke every day. That is the bad part of drugs. That is the bad part of bad habit. There is no curiosity attached to become a good human being and derive pleasure from small things in life. There is nothing like big pleasure. Big pleasure you can only get of being a team in Indian IPL team and winning the World Cup. That is the big happiness that one can really achieve or aim for. So I thank the principal madam for having called me. Basic this thing is, now suppose I say that I have come all the way and maybe spoken. So I would feel happy means when I say that people who have heard me, at least they will not do drugs, they will not do smoking. And if you are telling, you are ringing up this number and telling this boy is doing drugs or he is smoking or he is doing something like that, we will not spoil that boy's future. We will only go after the supplier who is giving him cigarettes or who is giving him liquor or he is giving drugs. You know what the society is? They write on the wall, liquor will not be served to children or persons below 21 years of age. And they think that after writing this on the wall, their responsibility to the society, to the children is over. But they will not ensure that this rule is met for the hope of selling some 10-15 extra bottles of beer. Few months back, we had an information that children of Indus were taking ganja chocolates. That time, we had requested the principal ma'am and we conducted a search here. So I want you to watch this. Promise me so. No to drugs, yes to life. That's number one. Drugs means even smoking is a drug for a child. And third thing is, if you are finding anybody who is doing something wrong, by complaining to this number, you are not harming that child. We will not harm his career. but we will only be sounding the parents and the teachers that this boy needs more care and protection. So please take care of him. So encourage people around you, make them feel happy, and let us all enjoy the small things in life. Everything, the house is made of small bricks. So enjoy small things in life, stay away from bad things. And now that you are all here, I will give a slogan. I will say no to drugs, you say yes to life. Say no to drugs. So please don't do it. It's not good. So thank you very much, Principal Garu and Vice Principal, the faculty of INDUS International School, and the children. If I test the urine sample, maybe a woman will test the woman's sample. So this tells me about 12 different types of drugs that person could have taken. Earlier what used to happen is, now there was a celebrity, some rave parties on. Okay? So like you visit a pub or something. Then these people know when you say knock knock open the door, what they will do is they will clear off everything, flush it down. And flush karne se, then you say no, we have not done anything. We are clean. I just had a coffee. I just had a slice of pizza. That's all they used to sell. But now we take women police also and male police also. We test their urine sample. So कोई भी झूठ बोलेगा ना, suppose he has taken cocaine, will come cocaine. If he has taken coke plus something else, we come to know. And if he has taken, he's smoking, even if I smell, I come to know that he is smoking.